Okay, so welcome back to the part number 2 of the Prophet 5. But on this one, we are going to talk about the other side of this plugin, which is going to be the VS. And don't fear the VS. I know it looks weird, but it's just, great and very easy to use. So if you think about this, it's kind of one of the first wavetable, I won't say wavetable, but kind of, synthesizers that came up, back in the day. And this is a digital vector synthesizer. So mainly you have 1, 2, 3, 4 kind of a different slots, and you can go and just move this around and navigate through the different sounds. So we're going to start with this one, learning this one, and it's going to be very easy. So to just chill. And then we're going to talk about how to combine this with the Prophet 5 just to get a bit more modulations and everything else. So like always, I'm going to start from default with a default patch, and I'm going to go to the VS. All right, so let's begin. So right from the start, you get 1, 2, 3, and 4, A, B, C, and D. Now, all of this, they have different numbers. So this is the number of the oscillation, of the sound. This is the digital one. It's not an analog like the other one. So if you go here to wavetables, you will have the wavetables available. And notice that it starts on 32, which is a sine wave, and it goes all the way up to 127. So this is going to be the number, what you're going to be doing. So first of all, I'm gonna start with the A. So I'm gonna just maybe go to something like that, right? Just a sine wave. So if I just press something, I get a sine wave. Now notice that the other ones are just, very different. Maybe I'm gonna go and change it something like that, and then change it something like that. And the vector, it means that if we just start navigating through the other ones, we're gonna start getting the other ones. And we can even put this in the middle, just right here in the center, and we are getting all at the same time. So this is the whole idea of this synthesizer. You get 4 different, you get 4 different places, and then you just can, blend a little bit of that, or maybe use all at the same time, and then maybe start using this one and then flip to this one. That's the whole point. So each oscillator can go up in frequency, just like the other one. You can fine tune it. Nothing very specific right here. And again, remember, this is the second part, right? We are coming from this one. So most of the controls are just very similar. So you can do the frequency, you can do the fine, and change the waveform right here. With this one, again, you just change the different slots to the different oscillators. So then you have the filters. Now, let me just bring something that has a bit more, harmonics. And if right now, if you change it like this, you can do shift and go one by one. And I'm going to use something like a saw. Now we can hear a little bit more. So we can do the cutoff right here. And it's a 24, just like the other one. And we can do the resonance, add a little bit of, resonance. Pretty simple to understand. Now, the difference between this and the other one is that you have different modes. You can do a low pass, a high pass, a band pass, and a band reject, which is a bit more complete. And this will be very useful when we combine both together. Okay, let's go back. So right now, I'm just going to do just a low pass. So what I want to do that, that sweep motion. But there's no envelope right here. So everything is going to happen right here. So this is the envelope amount. And again, it's very similar to this one, how much of that envelope we are going to be using. So there's going to be the filter envelope. Now notice that the envelopes are not common ADSR. It's just not like this. It's a different type of envelope. And it's, you can go drag to different points. This is the, of course, attack, the decay, and you have one more stage, of course. And you can, create your own kind of let me do something like that, and maybe, there you go. It's just using this envelope. I'm just too slow. You can create your own envelope just dragging the different points. Right here at the bottom, you will have information of what you're doing with each point, the rate and, the stage. Okay, yeah, pretty simple stuff. You just drag it and you can create crazy envelopes, which is something that you cannot do with the other one. Right. So another thing that you get is the looping mode. And you get this with the filter envelope and the amp envelope. We're going to talk about this in a minute. Now, for now, in the amp envelope, I'm going to make sure I have some sustain. So what you can do, notice that if I press one key, I'm going to do it with the mouse so you can see it, it's going to do that motion and it repeats one single time. But you can enable the loop and you can say, okay, so I want this to loop from 0 and the 3. So it's 0, 1, 2, 3. And it's going to start looping this motion. Get it? Yeah. So then you have the other options, which is, different combinations. So you're going to go from 1 to 3, which is this one and this one and this one. Will always start from 0. So it's going to do 0, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. That's the looping motion. And again, you get different combinations from 2 to 3. So it's 0, 1, 2, 3, 2, 3, 2, 3, 2, 3. That's the order. So I told you can create very creative sounds with this one, which is something that you cannot do with the with the other type of synthesis. Now then you have the repeat mode, which is how many times you want to repeat. For example, right now it's just on loop, which is if you press and hold, it's just gonna keep going and going and going and going until you release it. But maybe you just want to do this motion twice, right? So 1, 2, and then it dies, right? So it's just gonna execute the loop and do it twice. So you can go up to 7 times. And then you have different combinations, it's gonna go from 0 and then back and forward. And maybe this one, gonna be pretty similar. And there you go, you have different ways of doing the same thing, doing the filtering. It's just a bit different than this one. Again, remember you have all the things right here, other types of filter that you can use. And that's it, it's very easy. Told you, this one is actually easier than the other one. The thing is that it's a bit more complex because you can do a lot more things. That's the deal. So, okay, so that's the filter. Then you have the amplifier section. So for now, I'm just gonna maybe just go to, I'm gonna go to the default template. And again, this is the sound. I'm gonna go to the template. I'm using only the number 8. So the amplifier, it's the volume, and then you get the panning, right? Simple as that. I'm gonna talk what's going on right here. So the amplifier works just like the filter envelope. It's the same envelope. You just can go and just maybe create your own envelope. We notice that it's going up, down, and up, and then we can fade it. Let me just make it more obvious. Something like that. Right. And just like we did before, you can still loop the different sections and maybe... How useful is this, right? From the creative perspective. Right. Okay. All right, so super cool. Now, what happens, and for now, I'm just going to bring maybe a different wavetable. Let me just do maybe a saw. Okay, so we have a saw. So if I do this, we are going to get just a saw. Now, I'm going to go and maybe make it something normal and do a little bit of cutoff, because if not, it's just going to be super bright, maybe a little bit of resonance. So of course, you can pan all the way to the left or all the way to the right. Now, depending on how many voices you're using, you can target all the 32 voices that this plugin gives you, and you can pan them individually. That's why you get the voice pan in this control. So it means all voices go to left, all voices go to right. But in this case, what I can do, I can say, okay, so the number 1 is going to go to the left. The number 2 is going to go to the right. And notice that every time I change this, it's resetting the panning. So the 3 is going to go to the left, and this one is going to go maybe here. And I'm just, kind of randomly doing this just to show you this. So now some voices are going to be on the left, and the other voices are going to be on the right. So you get, of course, width, because not all voices are the same. All right, so again, another tiny thing. It's very simple, but they give you something else that just makes it, just awesome. All right, so let's dive into something different. We know the envelopes, we know the filter envelope, but you have something right here that calls mixer envelope. And I need to go to default just to restart everything. So we can all start from the same place. So the mixer envelope, what it will do is that when you press something you're just playing, is going to go to this control, to the vector, and do a motion for you. You're kind of automating this motion. For now, we are just not doing anything. We are just, not doing anything because it's off. So what I want to do, I want to go to the wavetables, and I'm going to go to the first one, and maybe I'm going to do a sign on the A. On the second one, I'm going to do, I don't know, something else that it's easy to recognize. Maybe, maybe square, square like that. Let me just select it first. I'm going to go to the other one, and I'm going to do maybe something noisy, some noise. And just to get back on the fourth one, on the D, I'm going to do, I don't know, something, that one. Okay, So now we get the sign, we get the square, we get the noise, and we get the thin square, right? The pulse number 3. So the main idea is that when you press something, you just press a key, this motion is going to apply. Can you hear it? It's super fast, of course. Okay, so let's start from the beginning. So, of course, when the something starts, it's going to need to start from the 0, right? From some place. So I'm going to start from the sine wave. And, then I'm going to go to the B, which is going to be, I believe it was the square. And then it's going to go to the other one, which is going to be the noise. And we're going to be able to, kind of predict how it's going to happen. And then at the end, we are going to go to the last one, which is the pulse, number 3. And then when we are done, I want to go back to the center, right? I just want to go back to the center. Right, so now if I do it, we can hear that, that transition. So if you think about this is kind of like a wavetable. That's the main concept. We are just, navigating through the index of the wavetable. Now, of course, this is super fast. We can make it slower if you wanted to. I'm going to just drop the volume of the amplifier. It's just a little bit too loud. All right. So, for example, I can go right here, and this is the rate. So the rate is how long it's going to take from here to here. So I'm going to put something about maybe 1.5, 2 seconds, so we can easily hear and recognize what's going on, because there's something that I need to explain right here. So I'm going to press a C. Sine, then this, then the noise, then it's going to the pulse. And notice that we are right here. We are not going back to the center. Now notice again, I'm holding the key. So this stage, the 3 to 4, happens when I release the key. Now, of course, nothing is going to happen because we don't have any type of sustain on the amp envelope. That's the main problem. So now if I, since we have some sustain, and I do it again, we go through the noise, then the pulse, we get to the end of the pulse, and I release it, and notice that it kind of fades. Now let's just, maybe go and do something a bit more, maybe add a little bit more. Okay, that's gonna work. So I'm gonna be going to the wavetables, actually to this one. I'm gonna start over, go to this, the pulse, and now I release it, and it goes back to center. Yeah. So like I told before, it's of course super large. Like I've told you before, this is kind of a very similar to wavetable. When you navigate through the different, with the index, through the different wavetable positions. So right now we are just doing it once when we just press a key. But maybe we want to loop it. So we have the same options that we had right here, but we have it right here on the loop. So if I wanted to, you loop the 1 and the 3. It's just going to do that. Now, of course, it's super slow, so I'm going to do it faster. It's going to be a bit more. Or maybe from 2 to 3. Right, so it's pretty great, right? You cannot do this with the Prophet 5. And it's because it's just they are different technologies. They're from different times, right? This is just pure analog, and this is digital. It's very different. So and that's it. That's it. You can still do the same thing. So then you have all the other things like the LFO. We're going to talk about this in a minute. So you have the modulation section. We're going to talk about this with the LFO. You have the wavetables. We already talked about them. You can change them from here. And you have the audio effects. And on this one, I don't need to do a lot of explaining because what they did on this one, it's pretty much a copy paste of all the settings we have right here. For example, you have the tune, the 440, which is the test tone, the unison, the detune, and the pitch range. So it's all the same right here. And the pitch range is right here. Same thing at the bottom. So volume, hold, legato, glide, blah, 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 is the same thing we have right here. So it's just a copy paste. And then you have the chorus and the stereo delay, and it's the same chorus and the same stereo delay. So you don't need to overthink this. So you have an LFO, right? And for now, I'm just gonna kaboom, turn them on, all off. Okay. So notice that you have the LFO. You can select different shapes, which is cool. You can sync it to the tempo of your DAW. And for now, I'm just gonna maybe use a triangle. And you can, of course, change the rate. That's the only thing you can do with this LFOs. And you get two, of course. Now, how can you, start, doing something right here? I'm going to go to this, and I will just disable the mixer right here. I'm just going to maybe use this one. Yeah, I'm going to use this one. Let me just go there and maybe do a little bit of a cutoff. Okay, that sounds a little bit better. So I will disable this as well. So what you get right here on the matrix is on the left side, you have what you can use to do some modulation. And on the upper part, you get what you can modulate, right? Pretty simple. So let's say I want to use the LFO 1 to modulate the cutoff, right? I want to go here and do an LFO or do something like that with the LFO, right? So I'm going to go and use the LFO 1, and I'm going to follow the line and read right here at the top. Frequency A, well, this is the pitch of the A. The pitch of the B, the pitch of the C, the pitch of the D, and then you get a mix from this. The mix is like this one modulating this one, and then you get the cutoff. So I'm gonna go right here and click on this one. So now LFO is connected to the cutoff, so it's going to modulate the cutoff. By how much? Then you have the amount. You can go positive right here, and and decide how much you want to do it, just like you will do with the envelope amount. All right, so that's it. I'm going to press something, and there you go. You get your modulation. Now, let's say I want to use the LFO to do something else. Since we are using the B, I want to modulate the frequency of the B, which is the pitch, the pitch, right? And there you go. We have the pitch, doing that kind of a vibrato, the FM modulation. We are modulating the frequency, and we are modulating the cutoff at the same time. And of course, if it's too aggressive, you can go down right here. See? It was not that hard. It's really pretty simple and straightforward synthesizer. Now, you can do the same thing with the LFO. You can go and do different things. The pressure is going to be the aftertouch. Then you have the velocity, which is, the velocity of the keys. If you're using a MIDI keyboard or on the MIDI, or if you're using a MIDI clip that has different types of velocities. Then you have the keyboard. And maybe you're wondering, okay, what the F is this? You know, what is the keyboard? So the keyboard, it's equal to the, let me find it, this one. It's equal to this one. So yeah. So right now on this one, you don't have a keyboard control in terms of the filter. So if you want it, notice that they give you an option right here. You could not do much with the keyboard. You can do the panning, but you know, you can do not do much. And it's because you need to select it right here. And now the keyboard control is going to be kind of a, you know, on the cutoff. Now, if I play lower keys, they're going to sound lower, but the higher keys are going to sound brighter. If I just turn this off, everything sounds a bit more dark. And it's because we are kind of disabling or doing something like this on the keyboard control. Right. So this is how the matrix works. You just choose whatever you want to use to modulate, and then you just modulate some other things. You can also use the filter envelope, for example. If you're not using it right here, maybe you can do some crazy shape, something like that, and then go to the modulation and say that the filter envelope is going to be modulating, I don't know, the cutoff, you know, it cannot do it. Some options are just not available, you know, just the way it is. Let's see if we can do the pitch of the oscillators. Sometimes, you know, it's just not going to take it. Depends on what you're using. So instead of using, and see, he's not doing it. So I'm going to go do it with this one, with the amp envelope. And I'm going to do it with that one instead of that one. And notice it's already going. So now the amp envelope is going to, of course, do the movement. Now I'm going to do this one as well. And then notice it's doing it now. And if we do a little bit of an envelope amount, that is working as well. So see, I believe that's a bug because sometimes I try to use this and it doesn't work. And then I use this and I change it and it works. You know, it's just the way it works. So then you can use the mod wheel and select what you want to modulate with the mod wheel. So that's it. You don't have anything else. You have this. We already covered this, the modulation section, and it's a pretty straightforward and simple synthesizer, right? So hopefully you'll like this and you learn something, and now you can use it, you know, just to get weird sounds or just cool sounds. Now, this comes full circle for this plugin because this plugin is not about the Prophet BS. This plugin is about the Prophet 5. This is like the main star of this plugin. Now, they give you this because this is like a big ass, super awesome modulation and, module that you can pair with the Prophet BS. And here's where the fun starts because it will open a lot of modulation options. Notice how many options you have right now. And it's because you can do modulation for this synthesizer. You can hear this synthesizer, you know, the sound that comes out from this one. You can hear the sound that comes out from the oscillators of this one at the same time and do some modulation from this one on this one and this one on this one. Right, so how can we use, this as a whole? Now, the whole thing works through the modulation section. Oh, sorry, not the modulation section, the audio effects. Notice that now it's different. You still get your chorus, you still get your delay, but now you have an audio right here and you have a chain with some, some routings. And don't worry, I'm going to explain this. It's very simple. So, of course, now you have many oscillators. You have 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then you have the A and the B from the Prophet 5. Now, you can use, some of the oscillators. You cannot use all the oscillators at the same time. What they give you is the option of on the A, you can use the BS, which is this one, of course, the A, or you can use the oscillator A from the Prophet 5. So I'm going to do that one, which is this oscillator. Then the B is going to be, okay, what are you going to use? You want to use the BS or you want to use the 5? So I'm going to say the 5. So it's going to be this oscillator and I'm going to turn it on. And then the C is going to be the C from the BS, which is this one. And then the D from the BS, which is this one right here. And for now, I'm just going to put everything at the center. So now we have these two oscillators, the C and the D, and we have the A and the B, and they are just, all right here. A of P5, B of P5, and then C and D of BS. So the trick right now is that whenever we play something, they're all gonna play at the same time. We are hearing the C and the D and the A and the B. If I turn this off, we are just hearing this. Right, and if I bring them in, we are gonna get them. Right, how cool is that? Now, of course, one synthesizer needs to be like the main volume. If I go to the volume of the Prophet 5, nothing happens. I can go to this one and notice that when I go there, I'm only getting the sound of the Prophet 5, because remember, we have nothing on A and B on the Prophet 5. We are not listening to them. So we are just getting everything, but not the C and the D. So if I change it to something else, something like that, we can hear the change. So, just for you to know. Now, for now, I'm just going to go and maybe put it right there. We're getting everything, all right? So someone needs to be the global volume, because right now, nothing controls the volume. So by default, this is going to be the one that controls the volume. Okay. So now we need to talk about the routings, because this is where, everything gets better. So you get the routing right here. It's the source mixer. All the oscillators are going to be mixed right here. And you can have two choices. You can go to the Prophet 5 side of filters, because we need to go through a filter, or you can toggle this off and just go and toggle this on. And now we're going to go through the filter of the Prophet BS. And there's a difference, because they are different filters. So if I choose this one, I'm going to go there, and the sound's going to go there, it's going to go there, it's going to go there, and then hit the filter of the Prophet 5. So now if I do something like this, we are filtering, of course, the 4 oscillators. And now we can do, whatever we want. Just do the work we do with the envelope. Now notice that then you have a noise. Now the noise that we use is the noise from the Pro 5. So you can turn it on. And then at the end, after the filter, everything comes out of the DAW, of the synthesizer through the VCA of the Pro 5. So the VCA of the Pro 5 will control pretty much everything. So there's the envelopes. Now, if you go up, you have a different choice. You can go the other way. So I can click right here and I can choose, and let me just go back to something more normal. Maybe there. You can, and I'm pressing something and nothing happens, and it's because there are no connections. We can go right here at the top. And we get the sound, and it's because now it's going through the filters of the Prophet BS. We are not going through the Prophet 5. Now it's going to follow, we'll follow this motion, we'll hit the filter VS, and the noise, remember, is going to be the Prophet 5 one. And then everything will go here and comes out of the VCA of the, the Prophet 5. Pretty simple. And we can, do something like we did before. Pretty simple, right? Pretty easy. Okay. So now you have another choice, which is what happens if I want to use both at the same time, right? We just want to use both at the same time. You can. It's going to be a bit loud. Just going to be a bit loud, but it's still going to work, and you can create some weird textures. Notice it's doing the movement, but it's also, this envelope is controlling the sound as well. And again, it's just a great thing. You can just get different sounds out of this one. This one. Now notice if you go to the BS side of things, there's a breakpoint right here, which is after the filter of the BS, which is this one again. And moving it right here, you will kind of route the sound to the filter of the Pro 5. And notice it's working on top of this. Notice that there, and I'm gonna do the resonance so you can see the filter of the Prophet 5 working on the sound that it's being rerouted to the filter of the Pro 5. Let me just put... So you have a lot of possibilities right here. And at the end of the day, it's just, you know, it's just what you want to do, what sound you want to get, and you need to do a little bit of exploration. The good thing is that you have a million patches. A million patches. Okay. So I'm going to use the normal one, which is going to go through the BS, through the Prophet 5. So it's going to be a bit easier to hear, right? So we go through the filter, not this one, through the filter of the Prophet 5, and then we go out through the BCA of the Prophet 5, right? Nothing super weird. Let's do something less resonant and a little bit of cutoff. We are still using the oscillators from C and D. Now what I want to do, I want to talk about the modulation, because now we've expanded all the modulation section of the Prophet 5, because we are connecting this with the Prophet BS, and everything works the same than using the BS. It's pretty much the same. You notice that the options right here are grayed out, but they are the same options. So yeah, it's super simple. So let's say I want to use the LFO, and for now I'm just going to disable this. So let's say I want to use this LFO to modulate something on the Prophet 5. So okay, so I'm going to be going right here, LFO 1, and I'm going to start reading. All of this is from the BS, and then at one point is the amp pen, and then you set Pro 5. There you go. So now you can modulate things on the Prophet 5 with the LFO of the Prophet BS. So let's say I want to modulate, I don't know, the cutoff. Let's do the cutoff of the Prophet 5, and I'm gonna go all the way so we can really hear how it's working. And there you go. Now maybe you're thinking, oh, so now I'm using the LFO of this one and I cannot do modulation of the cutoff with the Prophet 5 with the wheel. You can totally do it. It's just going to create kind of a blend, you know? It's great. Now let's say that the LFO 2, we want to do some modulation on the sound, I don't know, on the oscillators. So I'm gonna maybe go to the frequency of the Prophet 5. Notice that this is it. I'm gonna do the A, and we are doing a little bit of, and maybe do a saw. Notice we are doing the pitch of the oscillator A. Maybe it's too fast. There we go. Can you hear it in the background? Doing the pitch? Yeah. Right. So yeah, you can just choose whatever you want to do and just combine it. Now, of course, you can still do some other things. Let's say that you want to use the LFO from the Prophet 5 to do something on the BS. You can, you have the option right here. Now, the cool thing is that you can use the filter envelope and the amp envelope, which are pretty, unique to do modulations on the Prophet 5 and just, do something else than a normal LFO. Just, get a weird shape or something like that. And that's it. That's pretty much the whole plugin. Now the rest it's up to you, to do some exploration and to do some, playing around with this and just creating sounds and patches and creating maybe crazy modulations. So hopefully, all of this was useful. Remember, this was the second part of the series. The first one we talk about this, and on this one we cover the rest, right? So, okay, so hopefully all of this was useful. Remember to like and subscribe and to check Patreon, and see you on the next one.